Why this partnership is so important. It's about working with partners and experts, people who have the skills and expertise and knowledge to be able to do this sort of thing, because it's actually really important that it's not just something that should not done for the sake of it and people want to. It's like something does happen, you've got to have the people in place who are experienced and comfortable doing this sort of thing. So it's no brainer really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of training. There's a lot of checks and balances that have to go into place to put a bona fide safe space in place. Your team have to be trained to know what to do, to how to report and react and do things appropriately and in the right way, in the least negatively impactful way, because we don't want to already add to the stress and discomfort that someone's going to be feeling if something's happening at the event. So you need to make sure that person's trained in terms of how to be able to do right the missing.
How would you feel about the meeting show being the first industry event that has a safe space?
And it just feels amazing as a partner. This is fantastic. It's just amazing news. So the meeting show this year, I think, it just kind of pushed the boundary in terms of what they have in place at this event. It's diversity and inclusion perspective. It's just amazing. So they really push it forward. But for this to be the first official safe space for the industry, it's just awesome.
It really is, and I really hope that this acts as a bit of a driver and a bit of inspiration for other industry events now to look at how they can implement safe spaces, join the safe space initiative, really talk about it, communicate and shout about it, and getting everybody kind of involved with the initiative. It's so important that people come to the event and any event and feel comfortable, safe, included and stuff. Excited to be at the meeting show today, not just doing my usual rounds talking about diversity and inclusion as founder of Diversity Alliance, but also because the meeting show is the first industry show that is cast as a safe space. And what is a safe space? Essentially, it is an initiative that makes sure we have safe and inclusive spaces for everyone at all events, and that the processes are in place to support people if they need to report any instances of harassment or discrimination. Sounds dark, but it's not. It's actually just really useful, helpful initiative that's there to support people. And I'm with Marie today. Marie, would you mind introducing yourself to our viewers?
Sure, I'm Marie Kuffour. I am the owner of Destiny Events Professional, which is my own events agency. I work with corporates and entrepreneurs to help them deliver brand event experiences.
Amazing, I love it. And you said something earlier I really liked. Not kick.
So yeah, I differentiate an event from an event experience by the nature of it having a wow and a kick to it. So it brings the brand alive.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about some statistics in relation to inclusion, discrimination and harassment in our industry, and to get her thoughts on that. So my first statistic is this. Almost a third of workplaces don't have a misconduct procedure for racial discrimination. Do you think code of conducts are important when it comes to eliminating racial discrimination from our industry and also at events?
So I would say that codes of conduct have their place. I think they're a part of the solution to, I would say, reduce racial discrimination, probably not have the power to eliminate it. And that's because code of conduct is a communication about expectations, but it doesn't necessarily drive behavioural change in individuals. So with that, I think there's a greater piece of work there to engage leaders and event teams in programs around DE&I, so getting them to evaluate their beliefs, their behaviours and their actions. I think that would have a greater impact because there's that engagement piece there that will lead to the transformational change.
That's so true, it's so key. It's great having processes and policies in place, but if people don't understand why they exist, don't believe that they're needed because there's not been that education engagement, then they're just going to fall flat. So really good point that you've mentioned there. And then my second question is around this. 83% of people in our industry are aware of incidences of sexual harassment taking place. But what do you think needs to change to reduce that statistic? So essentially, none of us should have to be aware of instances of harassment. It needs to not be happening. So what can be done to to change that, do you think? Obviously, we talked about code of conduct. Is there anything else of the training, code of conduct?
So the awareness, I feel, needs to come more into the light. And what that could look like is at industry events such like this. It could be amplified through the program content. So we have like event tech trending, we have sustainability trending. Where's the real issues that event professionals are, unfortunately experience, and where is the platform for that? It's brilliant to have a safe space in the conferences, but there needs to be an educational piece. So that's my recommendation, if I could say that.
I think that is a really good recommendation, because I think sometimes in our industry we focus on what our stakeholders, our attendees, our clients, what their expectations are and what their needs are, and they forget about us as team members and colleagues and what our needs are as well. And we should be representative of what we're delivering to clients and attendees anyway. So this sort of content should be front and centre for our people. At these
not just
events.
as a one-off thing, but continually.
Nice. Thank you so much, Marie. It's been really great talking to you.
When you're challenging the status quo in any organisation, it's difficult. And I think with these conversations that are so important, people might feel in senior roles attacked by the fact that, well, why we're not doing this or about that, well, that's not right. And I think sometimes, in the reports, there are things around, and you think, oh, God, that's how we respond to it. So maybe it's that, because it's a senior issue which not allowed to be themselves. I know, or inclusive leaders. I think, what I hate about diversity isn't the shiny thing. And that's awful, but is it being done because it has to be done, or is it being done because it's a coherent thing that the leader is saying, we need to be equitable, we need to make sure we are including everyone. Like, some of the brands and businesses are doing that top to bottom, but some are doing it because they want to appear.
With the wonderful Kaylie right now, we're going to talk a bit about the DE&I data report. She's got some really interesting insights to share. But Kaylie, why don't you introduce yourself to our viewers first of all? I know who you are.
Oh, sorry. Hello everyone, my name's Kaylie and I am an in-house PCO for NASUWT, the Teachers Union.
Amazing, thank you. You do amazing work. You've won lots of awards and things like that. So you should check out. They do great stuff if you want some inspiration. But I wanted to talk to you about one of the insights we got from the data report. And essentially, it was around how employees feel like leaders do care about diversity and inclusion, at least they say they do in the workplace, but then it's not really being reflected in the workplace practices. So therefore, they now feel like, well, okay, they say they value it, but we're not seeing it. So what are your thoughts about that?
I think that as an employer, you can work for a company or an organisation, and I think as a whole they can care about diversity and inclusion. I think that when it filters down, we can't necessarily manage how other people, feel about it too. So I think as well, as much as the employer has a responsibility, line managers have a responsibility, I think that the individual has a responsibility as well, not only to spread the word of like the positivity of diversity and inclusion, but also to kind of look at ways that we can continue to spread the word, with the lack of better word, about how we can continue to grow. And I think that in the same breath, though, it shouldn't always be on the employee to teach other people, about diversity and inclusion. It's a team effort, and I think with constant conversation and communication, we can continue to grow that way.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with you, actually. And I think that in my experience, when we've been asked to do inclusive leadership training, it's often been for senior leaders or board members. And I think actually that inclusive leadership training will really work well for the middle managers as well, who are directly people managers managing teams, so they understand why we're putting these processes or practices or new initiatives in place. So I think that's
I do agree with that, definitely. Middle managers do need to understand a lot about diversity and inclusion. They are effectively managing people every single day, and not everyone has access to the top bosses or the employer as it is. So there is a level of responsibility there, and it's not something that should just be an afterthought. It should be the thought. If everyone's happy in the workplace, not just for their job role, but to feel valued, to feel like they're welcome in their place of work, it's going to end up being better for everyone, not just the individual, but the employer, the organisation, the company.
100%.
Yeah.
So true. Well, thank you. Thanks so much for your insights.
No,
I really on it out.
Hello there. As you know, I'm super excited because the music show has made itself a safe space, and we're so delighted that they're taking part in the initiative and part of the charter. And I'm joined here by Jack. Jack, if you can introduce yourself to viewers and listeners, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. Jack Marczewski. I'm portfolio event director for Austen and help with the meeting show as well as our other co-located exhibitions here in Excel.
Thank you very much. And could you just share with us why it's important for music shows to become a safe space?
Sure, yeah. So for us, we want events to be accessible for everyone. We feel that everyone should feel comfortable being who they want to be, going where they want to be, and being sure that anything that they encounter is going to be in a safe environment. So signing up to the Safe Space Charter is really important for us because we wanted to have that kind of seal of approval that we do think seriously, and that we do have trained staff, we do have reporting methods that if on not very nice occasion that something does happen, it's taken seriously and dealt with properly. So it was really exciting when the charter came to us and you approached us because it gave us the opportunity to actually put everything that we believe in into action and kind of showcase that we actually believe in it.
Thank you so much for that. You're actually the first industry event to sign up to the charter. We've had lots of different organisations, but a huge industry event like this, it means a lot. So I'm really grateful that there are a lot of people who are as well. So
Thank you very much.
Welcome to Rory. Rory, would you mind introducing yourself to our viewers?
Absolutely, and thank you for having me. My name is Rory Archibald. I look after the associations and sectors market with Business Scotland Business Events.
Thank you very much. And I brought you here today because I wanted to ask your opinion on something that we discovered in the data report, which I found super interesting, and I had a bit of discussion with you about. I wanted to get your insights on. And one of the pieces of data that we got, and this is very surprising, which I'm pausing, was that over 60% of the operational professionals in the meetings and events industry feel excluded in the workplace, at work, which is a huge number, and I was really quite shocked by it. And can you share some interesting insights about that, Rory, actually? And I'd love that to share with our audience.
Yeah, certainly. Brave of you to ask for my opinion. It can be a dangerous thing sometimes. I'm very lucky in my job that I get to travel the world to various different events, which has given me a really, really close friendship with people from all parts of our industry, and as I say, all parts of the world. For those who are planning events, for those who are on the shop floor, the ones who are organising, they're doing the hard work. Often they complain that decisions are made about the event without consultation with them. So a board, a leadership group could decide we want to do X and then hand over the nightmare and say make this happen. But without the consultation, without the expertise of those who know the inner workings of how to make our industry successful when it comes to operation. That experience of the delegate is partially critical for the survival of any event. And if that falls short, the blame goes to our operations teams. When it's actually more often than not their fault. They've not been included in conversations with senior leadership, with the boards, or making these decisions. And it kind of goes down to the fundamentals of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and particularly that inclusion element is that we need to all be speaking together. I can't speak on behalf of someone else. We need to speak with them. We need to be at the table and included in discussions and making sure that decisions are not made about people without them being involved in that conversation.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And also, we're talking a lot more about belonging. We're talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging now. And belonging is feeling like you have that autonomy, that agency to make decisions, to contribute to those satisfactory. So that's, being included is like, okay, you're kind of included your industry sometimes, perhaps, but belonging is like, no, it's not included all the time. So you need to feel like you have opinion and expertise that you want, and that will include. So that's a really good insight into why people might feel excluded. I mean, I'm trying to think about the analogy. I guess it's like going to a party or something. It's like, yeah, you've been invited. Great, got an invitation. And then once you're there, you're kind of like, just told what to do. Like, okay, you can go and get food now. Now it's time to dance. Now it's time to leave. And you're like, oh, I want to do it another way round.
It's like all the cool kids go to the kitchen to have their drink, but they don't invite anybody else in there to be part of the conversation, part of the fun. But though that whole thing feeds back to how we treat people in the industry, how we get people into the industry. I think you mentioned retention earlier on, and having a track, that retention element. If they don't feel included, if they don't feel they belong, our industry doesn't have a chance of attracting Generation Z or Z or the negative future generations, because the awareness of diversity, equity, inclusion, of values, of belonging, that awareness of if they don't like the job, they'll just leave. Which my mum and dad's generation was, go to a job and that's what life. And I think it was the millennials and then it started, if we don't like it, we're going to leave. So this, including people in everything, is so important. But it also leads to innovations, it leads to new ideas. Just because you've been in the industry for 35 years doesn't necessarily mean that you know everything. Of course there's expertise there, but fresh pair of eyes, new blood coming into the industry, that's how we innovate, that's how we change things.
Exactly, and that's why having inclusive leadership skills and understanding how to create psychological safety is a really important leadership skill now, so that you're able to create those spaces for your teams, your colleagues, employees, to be able to bring these new ideas and innovations to the table.
Well, two of my team members work in the marketing side, they're both under the age of 30. I think one's under the age of 25, so I've never felt so old in my life. But our last team meeting, they were coming up with idea after idea, things that me, my team, the other senior managers had never thought about. And one of my team are going around this entire trade show floor now, taking pictures of the things they like, the things they don't like, so that we can improve on how we represent Scotland at future events. And again, it sounds so obvious now that he's told me he's doing that, but I never thought to do that ever.
I know, you don't, and it's just nice to get a fresh pair of eyes.
First up, I wanted to talk about Diversity Alliance and your big data project that you're doing in conjunction with MIT and CVent as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. I think really the reason why the data project kind of came about was because of a lack of data about diversity and inclusion in our industry.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody needs to start collecting some of this. And I was really interested to know how diversity, equity and inclusion initiatives were impacting organisations, whether any initiatives were happening and how successful they were, and whether they were contributing to engagement, retention, improved company culture, kind of positive feelings and sentiments around DE&I in the workplace. Yeah. So I just wanted to get a bit of information about that so we could share and put that out to the industry.
Yeah. And so has that information come back? Is that we at that stage at the moment? And were you? How do you feel about the results you've got? Were you surprised by them? Any big kind of surprises in there?
Do you know what? We spent quite a lot of time actually collecting this data because we wanted to get as much of a subset as we possibly can. But what we found quite challenging is people weren't very keen talking about diversity, equity and inclusion.
All right.
Which I was quite surprised about until I had conversations within other sectors around the challenge of collecting DEI data, which made us feel a little bit better. But still, we would have liked to have got more feedback. But the feedback that we got was that it was kind of like a bit of a 50-50, like whether we feel it's kind of benefiting workplaces and people, whether it's not having any impact at all. And I think I expected to hear a little bit more around, I don't know, I expected there to be a bit more happening within organisations because of the conversations that I have. But obviously, people are going to talk to me when stuff is good and brilliant things are happening. But when nothing's happening, I'm not going to hear. So it's a bit eye-opening for me.
Yeah. And so what else came out of the research?
Yeah, so definitely there is a disconnect between leadership kind of saying that diversity and inclusion and company culture is really important and an important part of their values and internal strategy.
that's what we're hearing, and that's the conversations that are being had. But internally, people don't feel that is the case. People kind of feel like it's a lip service. They're not convinced that it's really genuine, and it's, you know, a bit kind of like not talking the talk, but not walking the walk.
Yeah.
That could be down to just everything that's happening in the world right now. There's so much going on, there's so much grabbing our attention. It's like, what are we prioritising? Now, obviously, I would argue we prioritise people, you know, and obviously planet as well. But people, planet, that's what we should be prioritising. But at the moment, maybe other things are a bigger priority. I don't know.
That's really interesting. So, are we prioritising profit, do you think, then?
Yes.
Well, that's that cleared up.
There's cash to go to Cannes Lions, so I'm like, you can do some things internally as well, people. Oh, yeah. But,
and so you think there should be more of a balance? Is that fair to say?
It's not even really a balance. I think in some cases it's just a case of getting started.
Yeah.
No matter where you are, getting started with some sort of educational implementation of something, because a lot of data as well showed that there wasn't really anything that had happened apart from policy changes, but people weren't seeing the benefits or the impact on them. That might be a communication thing that not being communicated, but not much has been happening is what the data's kind of shown us at the moment.
Okay. And so in terms of getting started, are people reluctant to get started? I guess kind of like not knowing where to start might be an issue.
Yeah, I think it is the not knowing where to start, which is fair enough because it's a huge topic. But from my perspective and in my experience, I would say you just start with the people that you already have internally and how you can better support them. Start having those conversations and those open forums, collecting that data. And by that I mean, doing your pulse surveys and your biannual surveys and your annual surveys to understand what your team's needs are and what they're thinking and feeling. And then you can start adapting based on the team that's currently there to get that culture piece right. And that's not something that's super difficult to do.
Yeah.
It's stuff that you're probably already doing, but are you looking at the right data?
I also wanted to chat to you today, Gabby, about the safe space that we've got. Yeah, can you tell us about it? It's very exciting. I think it's the first time we've had one here at the meeting show, isn't it?
Yes. It's the first industry show, actually, that is classed as a safe space.
Wow.
So I'm really excited. Well done, the meeting show. I launched the initiative about a year ago in response to different challenges and issues people were having around discrimination and harassment, and actually based on some findings from an M&IT survey and report a couple of years ago, actually, around harassment and discrimination in meetings and
that
events.
was really eye-opening, and it's fantastic to see something coming out of that and actual change happening.
Exactly. So I really just wanted to try and drive some accountability around what can we do to make our spaces safe and inclusive. And it's great for people to go, we're going to put up a logo, we're going to say we're part of Safe Space Initiative, but it's all about the accountability piece, so making sure we're having those reporting mechanisms, making sure people are trained in supporting people who might have had something not so nice happen to them at an event, and just having those sort of processes in place. And it's great because at the show today we've got the EventWell Hub, Wellbeing Hub, and the Quiet Room, which is where the safe space is. So if people do have any challenges or something they want to discuss, they can come to the safe space there at the EventWell Hub. But also the meeting show has provided an anonymous phone number and email address as well if people do want to report something anonymously, which is one of the suggestions that we made. So I'm really excited to see that. And it's not to put a negative spin on things, but it's good that people feel like I know if something did happen, there's somewhere that I can go and I'll be heard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really important, and it's it's testament to you and your kind of like drive and desire to get things done that it's here at all. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a bit I'm quite tenacious. I would say that, but it was something that is super important, I think, for everyone. We've all got members of family and wives, sisters, brothers, whoever who might have had, a negative experience, which can put shade on a whole amazing event like this. So it's better just to have something in place and
even if no one uses it, it's there.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm really excited.